Welcome back to the Prime Focus Goalkeeping channel. My name is Brandon Miller and I am your host. And today we are going to share our 5 best training drills for beginning goalkeepers. Right? We want to give you 5 different drills that cover different aspects of goalkeeping that we think are most important to help you develop as a goalkeeper. Now, a lot of this is very basic stuff, but when we're working with beginner goalkeepers, we have to focus on the fundamentals, right? The very basic things that are going to help them develop as goalkeepers. So we're going to start off our very first drill, our famous square drill, right? We've got 4 cones in a square about 3-4 yards apart, all right? A 3x3, 4x4 square. The big thing that we want to focus on here with our goalkeepers is the footwork and then the basic handling aspect of it, right? So we're going to go with Coach Pablo. We're going to hit some volleys in because he's a little bit more advanced. If you have to, with a beginner goalkeeper, if you may just want to toss and just focus on their hand shape, get them confident catching the ball, and then progress up to maybe some volleys from there. But the beginning portion of it is working on the footwork, right? Making sure they're staying balanced, good footwork out to the cone, working back into the middle, see their set position, and then catching the ball, right? So we're gonna have Coach Pablo show us. So he's gonna work out to the cone. Yep, he's working out, he's back in, he's set, and the volley comes in, okay? And then we work to another cone. We're out, we're back in, way forward, and just like that, right? So the big things we want to focus on, like we talked about, that footwork. The big thing is balance. A lot of goalkeepers just want to hop out and hop back in, but we've got to think about how it translates to the game. How, in a game, when you're moving from one side of the goal to the other, are you just going to hop across and bound because it's quick to get to the cone? Or can we focus on balance and footwork to get back in and get set in our position? Right? Those small, sharp steps are important as the ball travels across the 18. When we don't know when the ball is going to be struck, being able to get set at any moment. So we'll do a couple more. Coach Pablo works up, works back in, boom. Now we want to look at the back ones. What does the footwork for the back ones look like? All right, so we're facing this way, the cone's behind us. All right, can we open up, get here, and still be back in, seeing the ball the whole time, but working on opening up and dropping off at times. So we'll see a couple towards the back, yep. Dropping off, back in, set, boom. Let's do one more. Dropping off, come back in, squaring back up towards the ball, and catching. Good. Now, one important thing there. Coach Pablo holding the ball again. Come back in here in the middle, please. All right, so that last one, ball came out to the side just a little bit. One of the emphasis that we want to have with our goalkeepers is moving our body behind the ball, especially in this smaller space, about 3 yards wide, right? Being able to adjust your positioning and get your body behind the ball as opposed to maintaining bad habits of just sticking our hands out towards it, right? So that's some of the basics that we have with our basic handling drill. It's a basic handling and footwork drill that helps goalkeepers understand how they move from one position to the next, and then how they catch the ball, how their set position looks, and how you react to balls coming in, and what your hand shape looks like. So our second training drill that we want to focus on for beginners is going to be a diving drill. All right, so we focused on the basic handling. Now goalkeepers know how to catch the ball. Now we want to work on a little bit of diving. All right, so it's going to be a basic diving drill where we want to focus on the goalkeeper's movement, the goalkeeper's set position again, and then the angle of their dive. How they're going to attack the ball, what their hands look like, where their shoulders and the chest go, how they go to collect this ball. All right, so we're going to have Coach Pablo start out. He's going to start out on the side of the cone. Now, I've got a ball placed here about 10 yards away. The big focus here is we want Coach Pablo efficient footwork to turn, get set in line with the ball, right? And from here, we're going to go down to his left side. So when the ball gets played down, we want him to step, get his hands out towards the ball, staying low, getting his chest and his shoulders forward, and collecting that ball at a decent point, not just falling down to the side, not diving backwards, but focusing on going to collect this ball. So keeping his weight forward and diving down. So we're going to see it. Yep, he's going to turn in. He's going to get set in line. Ball goes down, and he's collected it. We're going to do one more from that side. Now we want Coach Pablo get a little bit more aggressive to come collect this ball. So we turn, yep, come in. He gets set, and good. So we're going to do one more because there's one more aspect of this basic drill that we want to focus on, and that is understanding what we're creating here, what situation we're creating in goal, right? So essentially, we're looking at a goalkeeper being set on their post, right? Striker's gotten down to the end line, goalkeeper's on their post protecting this area, the striker cuts that ball back. Now, when that ball gets cut back, a lot of times goalkeepers want to play the drill where they'll go here, they're turning here, and then they pick their head up and see the ball here. But we want to teach goalkeepers good habits. So when that ball gets cut back, that head needs to find the ball as quick as possible and get set. So one of the first things that needs to get around is your head in this drill. Understanding that I can't have my head down staring at the ground trying to see where I'm getting set. I have to see where the ball is so I can get set in line, understand what that line looks like. Okay? So let's go one more. Just focusing on turning, getting set, tracking the ball, getting your weight forward. Here we go. Yep. Turn in, we're set, and we're out. Great technique there. All right, so that's a basic drill, and there's a number of different things that you can do there, but that's a basic drill focusing on goalkeeper diving, focusing on them turning, the footwork, getting set, getting their weight back forward, because it's important for them as they're traveling to understand I have to get my weight here, because if I'm shifting here, sure, in this drill it's going to work, but in a game, when that ball gets hit back that way, they're going to be handicapped, right? So we've got to focus on getting here, getting set. So whether it's you're changing this drill up and you're working out towards the cone and coming back in, love for the goalkeepers to get set, right? Now, there are times where we work out and it's just a step and go. We're working on that last portion of the dive where goalkeepers are more explosive. But for beginners, really want to focus on them getting set and working on the technique of stepping and diving. Our third basic training goalkeeper drill that we want to focus on for beginners is focusing on crossing. And with crossing, the big thing we want to focus on is the technique of it. Every goalkeeper coach is going to tell you catch it at the highest point, but how do we do that? How do we consistently catch it at the highest point? And a lot of it's footwork, and a lot of it is momentum, and a lot of it is the technique, okay? So basic drill here, we've just got a simple mannequin. All we want Coach Pablo to do, we're just going to toss the ball up to the right. We're just focusing on technique here. Now, I understand these tosses aren't really what you're going to see a lot of times in the game of a driven ball or a whipped in ball, but we're focusing on the technique. How do I drive my right knee up? How do I use my footwork and then gain momentum and drive my knee up and then go catch the ball at the highest point? So we just want to work one side or we're going to work the next side. So we're going to go right side, we're going to go left side. So Coach Pablo's ready. Ball's here, ball's going to get tossed up, and we're there. He's going to work back in. He's going to get set. We're going to go to the left side. Good. All right, we're going to do one more each side. So the big thing we got to focus on, that ball's being tossed. Understanding that we're here. Sometimes we may need to adjust, but then we step, and drive up that right knee on our right side. And then from our left side, same thing, driving that left knee up. So basically what we need to understand as goalkeepers is even if that ball's coming from the middle and it's tossed to our right, what we're mirroring is getting a ball from our left side, and that ball's coming to our right, protecting ourselves from the traffic that's coming in, but also gaining momentum up. So focusing on goalkeepers, driving the correct knee up on the correct side because, so Coach Pablo, I want you to go with the wrong knee on each side, all right? So on this side, we toss the ball to the right, right? It's a little bit more awkward, but thinking about when that ball's coming from the left side, trying to catch a ball with my left knee up like this, right? It's going to be challenging. So we want to focus in. We want to hammer in. If our goalkeepers can't get the right knee up on the correct side, then we don't need to advance past that, right? Because we've got to focus on nailing that basic technique. So we'll go again, right side. We're here, and we're up. Back in, left side footwork, and we're up, just like that. All right, so going back and forth with that, whether it's tosses like that, whether we bounce them in and make it a little bit less predictable. That's important because we want to get that basic footwork. Now, we want to go from the side a little bit. Now we want to start to mirror what an actual toss or what an actual cross would look like. All right, so we're going to toss it in a little bit lower, a little bit different trajectory, but we're going to have Coach Pablo working out. Now he's getting a ball from his right side. That ball gets tossed in. What does that technique look like? Just like that. Let's do one more from this side. Focusing on, look at how he's angled, right? So we're not going straight out. So he's not facing straight out, because if he's facing straight out, now he's got to look to his side to focus on the ball. If he's squared up and that ball goes over his head, now he's got to open up and then do footwork, and that makes things a little bit longer when you're working with whipped in crosses that are coming in 1 second, 1.5 seconds. You don't have a ton of time. So the less unnecessary movement we have, the better. All right, so he's half on. This ball gets tossed in. He's up. Boom, just like that. That's great footwork and that's great technique. So that on his ball coming from his left or from his right side, driving up with that left knee. Obviously, it's the opposite on the other side. When that ball comes in from his left side, he's going to be driving that right knee up, whether it's in front of the mannequin or whether it's behind the mannequin. Right? So those are just the basic things, focusing on what kind of tosses you give your goalkeepers, but focusing on the basics of driving that knee up, collecting the ball at the highest point, the footwork, the momentum. Okay? So that's our third drill with crossing, just focusing on the basics there. All right, so our fourth drill that we want for our basic goalkeeper training is working on angles. Right? Angles are really important as goalkeepers when we're trying to make saves. Understanding where we need to be in the goal, where do we position ourselves so we have the highest percentage chance of making saves. So we're gonna look at this drill that we like to do here for all of our goalkeepers, but I think it's really important for beginners, right? We're gonna go from two different positions that we typically see in games as goalkeepers, right? So we're gonna start out from this post position, like we talked about a little bit earlier in the video, a position where striker, winger's gotten down to the end line, our goalkeeper may be here set for a cutback, that ball gets cut back, what is my footwork like, how do I get set on the angle, and adjust my positioning for a strike from the angle. Okay, so we'll start from there, and then we're gonna go from the middle, right? So a ball's down the middle, the ball gets played out, how do I move and adjust, find my angle, what are my key landmarks that help me understand what angle I'm on in the goal, and position myself in the best position to make them safe. All right, so Coach Pablo is going to start from the post. So we've talked about the situation in a game that we're working on here. Now we want to see the final product, which is the actual strike. So the cutback ball and the actual strike. Working on the angles. Now we've got the mannequin here, we've got the post. This is the window that I want my goalkeepers to understand. Like that window, that's about a 3.5-yard window right there, from that post to that mannequin. All right, 3.5, 4 yards. In that area, that's the area where I want goalkeepers to be really comfortable positioning themselves in a place where they can make saves in that area, okay? So, Coach Pablo, let's work from the beginning. Yep, you're gonna come in, you're gonna turn, you're gonna get set on the angle, and we're gonna drive a ball in, all right? So we're focusing on, doesn't have to be a really pacey ball right now. The big focus is the angle, right? So we'll go again from the post. Yep, turn in, we're getting set. Now, let's talk about the positioning. Let's talk about the angle so that goalkeepers can understand what it looks like to adjust their angle. Come back in here, right? So, from here, 1, 2, 3, about 4 yards, right? From this angle, understanding that's the window that we want goalkeepers to be most comfortable in. Anything outside that window is typically a great strike. Hopefully we can make a save, but sometimes we may not be able to. But understanding, Coach Pablo, take a step to your right. Understanding that from this angle, if Coach Pablo's standing right there, we're giving away a lot of the far post. So how does Coach Pablo know that his positioning is a little off here, right? He's coming off the post, so one of the biggest things he can do is understand how far the post is from where he is. So if this ball right here is my post, understanding if I simply just step here, I can still touch my ball, right? So I need to be able to get a little bit further out to where I feel comfortable still being able to dive back to the post, but also being able to cover that area between the mannequin and the post, okay? So let's go back, let's see a couple more. Sharp movement out, yep. Coming in and getting set, and we're there, right? Let's go one more from the post. So we're checking off the post, yep. Getting away from the post, getting set, and what a save that is. So that's a very clear example of really good positioning, right? So Coach Pablo has gotten across and put himself in a position where there's a bit of the near post showing, right? A bit of the near post showing, but he's still confident enough to put himself in a position that if that ball goes back to the near post, he makes a really good save, all right? So that's what we have to focus on, is not being so stuck to our near post, because we don't want it. The ball is closer to our near post, so we don't want that ball to get blasted in here, but we're giving up a lot far post. We have to be confident enough to be in a position where I still feel like I can cover this, but I can step and push and cover my far post as well. Now, let's work on coming from the mannequin. So coming from the mannequin, now we're working on a little bit different footwork. It tends to be a quicker step out. So sometimes goalkeepers like to go lateral footwork and some goalkeepers like to do a crossover. Whatever it may be, you've got to focus on getting across. Again, using the landmarks. Is it the post that you're going to use this time? Right now we have a mannequin, but could it be a defender that's down the middle? Understanding, playing off of them, understanding where I need to position myself in the goal to make a good save. All right, so here we go. Coming from the mannequin, yep, we're getting across, getting here, getting set, ball's in, right? So what you can do is take a quick glance to that post and understand, hey, maybe I'm a little bit too tight to my near post. Maybe I'm not far enough. Maybe I had to make a quick adjustment. But that movement directly from the mannequin, a quick glance to the post and seeing where I need to be. Ready? Yep. We're across, we're set, and we're making the save. Right, so this is a basic drill to focus on our angles, right? Balls don't have to be driven in really hard, right? It's about getting goalkeepers comfortable in the goal and understanding what their positioning looks like. Pablo is a bit taller, right? So he has the ability to maybe adjust his angle a little bit because he can cover a little bit more. Sometimes shorter goalkeepers tend to step out a little bit more and maybe be a little bit tighter to that near post because they don't have the ability to cover as much. It all depends on the goalkeeper, but we have to get them comfortable in those angles, seeing those strikes and seeing their positioning and adjusting accordingly. All right, so our last drill, our fifth drill that we like to do with our beginner goalkeepers is just focusing on distribution. We got to focus on ball striking. In modern game, goalkeepers have to be really competent with their feet. And a lot of that is clearances, driving the ball out to, whether it's midfield or whether it's a teammate, out wide or up top. So we have to work on their distribution. And so doing it in tighter and going into the goal, obviously so we don't lose a bunch of balls, is important. So all we want to do is focus on the first touch and then focus on the distribution, the ball striking, what part of the ball they're striking and with which part of the foot. So a lot of the times I like to give my goalkeepers different targets in the goal. Right, with this goal, we've got an orange line that's going through the net. Right, so sometimes I like to tell them to aim with that. So they're driving the ball a little bit lower. Sometimes I like to tell them to aim for the top corner, so we're getting that ball up a little bit, thinking about driving it a little bit further. So we'll start out, Coach Pablo, I simply just want you to aim for that orange line right there in the corner, all right? So focusing on ball comes in, take your touch out, drive that ball in. Here we go, let's see a couple. So touch out, and we drive, right? So focusing on inside of the foot, touch out of your feet, and thinking about the connection. What part of the foot are we getting at? So Coach Pablo, you're getting a little low right now. So how do we adjust? How do we get our touch a little bit more out of our feet so we can step in and drive that ball forward? Now, sometimes what happens with goalkeepers, a lot of the trouble that we'll see, ball will get stuck under their feet, right? And then they have to take a second touch to then hit that third ball, right? Or they'll take that touch out of their feet and then they step back and then they want to wind up and drive. We want to focus on the efficiency and the quickness of it, right? So that ball comes in, can we take a touch, step in, and drive the ball, right? So focusing on a consistent touch. Let's go that side again. Right side here, boom, step in, and just like that. Let's go one more. Yep, touch, out, and drive, all right? So focusing on, this is a drill that gets goalkeepers more comfortable with driving with their laces. A lot of goalkeepers are really comfortable. They just want to focus on getting it off the ground, so they'll go inside of the foot and trying to scoop it up. We want to focus on driving with the laces. So we use the net so we don't lose a lot of balls, but repetition helps to get them more comfortable and confident there. And we can do it both sides. We can do the same thing with our left foot, touching out, driving into the opposite corner. It's really just focusing on the technique of it, making sure the goalkeepers are hitting the right part of their foot, getting a good first touch, and their mechanics are looking good so that they're driving the ball straight. So those are the 5 best drills that we have for our beginning goalkeepers to focus on their fundamentals. If you have any questions, put them in the comments section and we'll be glad to answer those for you. Until next time, stay focused.